Welcome to another episode of Square Table Conversations where we talk about topics that matter and give you our take on the topic. And today we are going to talk about, are grand weddings really necessary?
So I personally think people should go for simpler weddings because wedding as a concept is losing its essence. Like it's becoming more of a gimmick, and people are getting affected by trends, and it's become like people hire choreographers. It's become more like a performance rather than it's like glittery costumes, color bombs. It's become more about that rather than like people are more focused on making it a grand affair and calling these many people, having this much amount of food, these many varieties of food, the decor should be this way. And it's losing the main reason of why a wedding happened in the first place. A wedding was about two people coming together, two families coming together, happily celebrating that. And now it's become more like a status symbol where people have to spend this much amount of money. This The venue should be this big, or it should be a destination wedding. And it's become more about that than it's a ritual where two people come together and they're gonna, like, it's a start of their life. And that whole thing has lost its importance, and it's become more of a grand, costly affair. So yeah, I personally think people should focus on the basic concept of a wedding rather than making it a big affair.
Okay, so it's sort of their personal choice if they want to make it grand, because you said wedding is it is a pretty significant event in someone's uh, life. If they want to make it grand, they want to ensure they want to invite more people and give them also, like, spread their happiness to them, and feed them food. I don't think there's anything wrong in it. It actually is sort of one selfless thing people actually do. On the day of wedding. Yeah. So I think that there's nothing wrong with it. And plus, if they can afford it and they want to do something like this, I don't see anything wrong. And plus, weddings, especially in India, they create a lot of jobs. It kind of boosts the economy. It give, like, let it be from decoration, choreographers, people who are into art. This is an opportunity for them, right? Decorating and jewelry designing a new type of jewelry, the costume designing, the decor, and it creates so much jobs for so many people, and it makes them feel special, the bride and groom. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If they're able to afford it, then let them go for it.
Yeah, so it surely provides employment, as you said, but what happens is that people only think about that day's, pomp and that show and everything. The problem is with people just creating so much of food wastage, or just after that decoration is all taken down, it just goes to the dump. There are a very few people who actually think of what happens to that decor and food and everything that is uh, after the wedding is over. And also, especially when there are these plastic uh, containers or plastic, those, what do you call that, cups used in weddings. They are just thrown when you go to any, like, maybe visit a wedding hall that is given for rent. Outside you can see all that thrown in the trash bin after the wedding is done. So when one person is done with their wedding, another person just scraps out all that and does it again, does the decor again, and food is made again and everything. So people don't really think about sustainability when they have grand weddings. And if they're mindful of that, maybe, yeah, it does provide employment and all that. But people usually are not mindful of all those things, is what I feel.
But actually, if you want, uh, in most of the cases, if, for example, you spoke about plastic cups.
Yeah.
If you want to replace it with steel cups, the expense will actually go up, right? Plastic cups are cheaper. So even if you want to make a wedding sustainable, it will cost someone more. So if you're advocating for a simpler wedding, also if you have to look into sustainability, the cost will go up.
Yeah. I think, yeah, definitely, like for that one wedding, cost might go up. But then if that thing is assigned to the caterers or someone who's bringing it along with them, they'll keep reusing those steel cups or whatever for the next wedding as well. So if the caterers are doing that job, I don't think the cost is going to increase that much for that one
Yeah,
wedding.
and also if you look at the sustainability angle, if you look at decoration, majorly, like flowers are put into this kind of a sponge to hold it in place. And that sponge is actually, it's hazardous. It's not a sustainable material. And that sponge, it's used for like every single part of the whole floral decoration. So if someone's going for a really grand decoration cover which covers the entire stage, imagine the number of such sponges or materials that they'll be using. So even when it comes to that, the decoration part, people don't consider, and there is a way to make it sustainable, but people don't take that route. They go for whatever looks more grander, whatever looks more nice, and and that's actually bad for the environment. So yeah.
Now you want to spend money because it's your day, and if you're hopefully getting married only once and you can afford it, then go ahead, do it. Because the kind of jobs creation that happened, wedding industry itself is $1 billion industry right now, and the sure it's getting costlier by the day because, like we said, demand and supply. Now, if you want good things, you obviously have to put in much more money into it. But
Actually, weddings are also seen as a networking opportunity.
yes,
Like the big weddings of some celebrity or something, it's actually a networking opportunity. If someone goes, any in one way or the other, people will spend that money in some gala event or some party. They're spending it on a wedding where the bride and groom are happy, people who are invited are happy, and there's some networking that is happening.
yeah, and
Yeah.
because you guys are talking about the sustainability factor, a lot of the rich weddings, let's call it rich weddings, are very sustainable. They look into the aspects of how the food can be, uh, less amount of food wastage, because if you actually see the buffet system is a very you know it's a very sustainable way of serving.
Okay, so people are if people want to have a grand wedding and out of their own happiness, if they want to do it, then it's fine. But what is happening is that because of the societal pressure, like someone else did it, like my neighbor did it, and that neighbor is actually kind of uh, looking forward to my this thing, how I am going to arrange it. Is it going to be in the same level, or are they going to repaint the house, or are they going to do it in a certain location? Like people expect all those things from a grand wedding. So if someone there are so many people who can't afford all of that, but they take loans, or they nearly spend, like we all know that 82% of their savings they spend on weddings. So this is happening because of societal pressure.
If you see in so many families in India, it's kind of an unsaid rule that the girl side of the family has to spend for the entire wedding. And in that case, the whole burden falls on one side of the family, and then, like she said, they spend a huge chunk of their savings on the wedding. So this is, and it's kind of like an unsaid rule, and they can't even say, okay, fine, we'll spend half and the guy side has to spend half. They just take it up upon themselves that this whole burden falls upon one side of the family, and this is a huge problem that so many families fall into debt and they fall into difficulty because of this.
What I also think is that there is the subtle form of dowry that is there. They'll say, okay, gift your gift your daughter this
Hmm.
kind of jewelry or this kind of
Yeah.
a car or a
Yeah.
sofa
It's
or
a kind
whatever
of
it
a
is.
silent demand. They say
Silent
do it for your
demand.
daughter.
Do it for your daughter,
Hmm.
so that it's she is the one who's going to use it all after the wedding. So we are
Hmm.
not asking it for ourselves. We want you to gift her an apartment or something like that. So those things are also some additional costs that are coming into the picture. If you are planning a grand wedding, in the sense like maybe the wedding will not be that grand, but these additional costs like buying an apartment or car or whatever it is, people would have not really planned for all that, even if they're planning for a grand wedding.
Hmm.
So that is
And
that.
these days times have changed, but in like olden days they feared having a girl child for this reason. They would think we would have to spend for her wedding and it'll fall as a huge cost to the family. And
Yeah.
these days
That's why they
times of
called them a burden.
yeah, the girl child was almost like a burden to the family. And these days things have changed. Women are being more independent. Women are earning. They can afford their own wedding. But just saying, because of this whole aspect of girl child, the family has to spend for the whole wedding. They feared having a girl child itself.
Yeah, so so the thing is, you said that the whole burden comes on the girl's family and everything. The reason is that because they fear, it's based on more than giving importance to love in a marriage. They're basing it on fear. Okay, we lose such a good match and everything, and that's why the burden will only come upon the girl side of the family. If it is actually if there is mutual respect among families, among the bride and groom, they have an understanding, they can they can it's a if they feel it's a huge financial burden on some on the bright side of the family, they have to talk about it and ensure it's not that way. And another thing is, if the bride and groom want a grand wedding, it's their responsibility as well. If the parents are not able to afford it, it's their responsibility, and they will go ahead with it.
Like they had a puja, they had that homa that used to happen, and that was the main aspect. And people, even at people who went to attend the weddings, they used to make sure to go for the homa, the puja. These days they just go to eat the food and come back.
Hmm.
So people are more interested, like even these days, if you see, like our grandparents and all, they would not be interested in just going and eating the food. They would be like, we have to go early, we have to attend the puja, we have to, maybe bless the couple. It was more about that, and not just going and enjoying the food. So yeah, like in general, people gave more importance to that, and not just that, each ritual had its own significance.
I think they do a lot more of rituals when it comes to grand weddings than simple weddings, because nowadays when you talk about grand versus simple wedding is mostly just registered marriage, because they quote marriage as a certificate. Because even if you're married, no, and probably back then you didn't have to showcase like a marriage certificate and all. Nowadays it's like legally binding. You are bound to prepare a marriage certificate to showcase to the world that yes, you guys are a couple, right, or married. But then back then, all the guests that used to attend your wedding were like the witnesses of your wedding. So everybody knew that yeah, you are a couple, right? That's how it was. So grander the wedding, more witnesses you have. But nowadays, simpler wedding is mostly the sign and done. It's done. So no rituals.
Like,
So the whole essence of wedding is still carried on because of the grand weddings that have been happening. Go on.
I think in a grand wedding, the problem is that people spend a lot of time in the arrangements itself. They they just they have sleepless nights. They have to just be on the go, like
Hmm.
arranging everything, managing everything. There are event managers for that, but again, you have to spend a lot on them.
Yeah, and another thing is in grand weddings, you said yeah, an event manager, but again, everybody can't afford an event manager. And the more grander or the more people attending the wedding, then the more number of, the more tension or the more anxiety that the people who are planning the wedding have. So again, it becomes like if it's a simple wedding, they can live in the moment, enjoy the beautiful moment that's happening there, and have their entire mind around that. But if it's a grand wedding, again they'll have to think about, oh my god, so many people have come. Now they will there be enough food? Are the number of return gifts enough? Is this proper? Is that proper? Is the welcome drinks? Did everybody have it? So you see the number of things that a person has to think of. So
Are the guests satisfied
yeah,
with our gifts?
that yeah. And people will pass comments. Is what I've done actually enough? So they'll have thousands of things running in their mind, and they don't enjoy the moment when it's happening.
Actually reconnect with so many people.
Yeah. Now,
You've not spoken to for so many
and
days.
now that there is nuclear families, weddings and big occasions like these are the only way you can bring back the joint family vibes.
Yeah, so see, like, even when you're inviting guests to the wedding, you invite people who are your family, obviously, family, extended family, friends, people who you know really well, you invite them. But then, out of obligation, you're forced to invite people who are not even that close to you. So, people who might not even be happy for you, you're forced to invite even them if it's a grand wedding. Whereas if it's a simple wedding, you can just tell them it was a close knit family affair and yeah, finish it off with it.
I think in grand weddings, there's a lot of additional cost also involved. Whether you're painting your house or you're planning a destination wedding or whatever it is, those are not some things that people plan in advance. That is why grand weddings are involve a lot of cost. So if a simple wedding is planned, even if it is done in a ritualistic way, like all the rituals are followed, it can be done in a very simple way. Like there's no need of all those. Like if in case you're not inviting so many people, again there's no wastage of food, and there is a lot of cost that you can cut down. At the same time, you can follow all the rituals, and you don't have to break your head on about so many things. So that is those are the advantages of having a simple wedding.
I feel so. In conclusion, I feel that you a wedding, you shouldn't have it to impress people. Have it when they feel they're ready for it, and two people are like each other and respect each other. When and you have to also keep in mind the financial aspects that are involved. If you want, you should ensure it should be a well planned financial affair where you ensure it's not more than 10 to 20% of your net worth that you have. More than that shouldn't be spent on a wedding. So if your net worth is pretty huge and you can afford a very very grand wedding with all the grandeur, go ahead with it because there's nothing wrong. And if you want to, if you're able to afford only a simple wedding, go ahead with it and don't be bothered by what everyone is going to talk about. So it should be a well planned financial event with a lot of respect and understanding among the two families.
Yeah, I think it should be ultimately what matters to you. Like for a couple, for example, if traveling is what matters to them, I think they can save the costs on and have like a simpler wedding and spend the rest on a traveling, which will be like a one of a like it'll be like a lifetime experience for them. And ultimately, it is what matters to you. It's a personal choice, and if you want to have a simpler wedding, you should go ahead with that. And if a grand wedding is what makes you happy, I think you should.